Hi, hello. If you're passing by scrolling, hello from Munwara Ali. I'm Munwara Ali and I am live on LinkedIn and YouTube. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm a leadership coach consultant. I'm a CEO of a charity and a director of a CIC doing international development work. So, why am I here today at 4 o'clock randomly? Well, I tend to do live streaming on Saturdays. My live show is usually on a Saturday morning, but I do tend to move things around depending on the needs of my guests. So I wanted to say hello today and just explain why I've gone very quiet. So, Ramadan um, is a time for Muslims to be fasting, reflecting, and praying. And this year I took the first week of Ramadan off. And so, therefore, I've tried to be a little bit less of a workaholic and be more focused on spiritualism and reflection and prayer. So, yes, it's been quite tough. The first few days have been quite challenging because you're trying to juggle so many things at the same time. But I must say that having the week off work has really helped me. So I like to be real and I do these live shows to throw the spotlight at community leadership and just leadership in general and for women in particular, what it means. So during Ramadan, your typical Muslim person's routine is to pray 5 times. We fast from just before 5 in the morning. So the last meal we can have is just before 5 a.m. And then we don't eat or drink anything, not even water, for 12 hours. We break our fast, and the times change every day by a minute or two. So today I think it's going to be 6 o'clock. So we break our fast around 6 o'clock. So we're talking about, I'd say roughly about 11 hours, 12 hours, because I ate just after 4. So that's your average Muslim person's Ramadan, day of fasting. We're not, and in that time, we're still supposed to be working, doing our usual 9 to 5 for some. I do a little bit more flexibly. I tend to work. Maybe it's because of my role being a CEO. Often, even if you are working 3 or 4 days a week, you're expected in many ways to keep your eye over the big problems and the bigger picture. So therefore, sometimes even if you only work 3 or 4 days a week in a charity, you still end up kind of being on duty, on the lookout, more or less every day of the week. That's just how it is. I mean, I can't speak for other CEOs, whether others have said the same, but I can tell you that that's always been my experience. Over the years, working in small charities, I've felt that I couldn't really switch off, even over the weekends, because there'd always be an urgent email or something has happened or a crisis that I have to pick up. Because where does the buck stop? If you're in a very small charity and you don't really have a senior leadership team, the buck always stops at the person at the top. So the person in the leadership role, usually the managing director or the CEO. That's been my lived experience, anyhow. And juggling that with prayer and, the 5 time prayer, it's trying to maintain all of that, maintain a household, make sure food is on the table when we all break our fast. Usually means I spend a couple of hours in the kitchen, um, or I spend less time if I've done some prepping the night before. So that's another way of balancing. And everybody does it differently. I have amazing connections on LinkedIn and, just generally like people in other parts of the world, and they're doing it differently. Some of us will stay up until 2 a.m., and I've done that, and I'll plow through because after breaking my fast at 6 o'clock, my energy levels might be high, or I might be tired if I've overeaten. So if my energy levels are high, on the other hand, then can plow through until like 1 a.m. or something, and eat at 2 and go to sleep, which means then I get like a full night's sleep. If so long as I get my 6 hours, I'll be up in the morning again and ready to work. So that's one way of doing it. Of course, if you do that, then you miss your morning prayer. Morning prayer is usually straight after, like few minutes after you stop eating. So if we can eat at, say, 4:50 is the cutoff point, morning prayer will start at 5 past 5, something like that. I'm just giving like rough estimates because times change as well according to the day and which parts of the world you're in. So if I were to want to not miss that morning prayer, which is really important for a Muslim, and probably one of the hardest to discipline and get up in that at that hour to pray, it would mean then I would have to go to sleep at 10 o'clock, be quite sort of disciplined in that respect, go to sleep at 10 and wake up at 3 or something, or half 3, eat and then pray. And then sometimes after praying, and what I tend to do is drink like 2 to 3 glasses of water just before 5 o'clock. It means it makes it so much more harder to go to sleep. And if you do go to sleep, you're up in an hour later because your kidney is bursting and you need to go to the loo. So too many bathroom trips. That's, I think, been my biggest challenge during Ramadan as well. So if I, after prayer, attempt to go to sleep for a couple of hours at 6 o'clock, often I'm awoken again at 7 to go to the bathroom. So yeah, enough of that. But I'm sure it's a challenge that many Muslims, particularly those who are working and juggling work and home life and Ramadan, have. The good news is we've passed, today's the 10th day, so we're one third of the way through. And to be honest, after the 2 or 3 days, it very much feels like everything goes fast. Before you know it, we'll be halfway through. Right this moment, it's 4 p.m. and fortunately, I've not got a headache, or which is usually a symptom of dehydration or withdrawal symptom of coffee. Because my body's gotten used to it over the last 9 days, so I'm not really struggling in that respect. I haven't got a headache yet, and I've only got like 2 hours to go, so it's not long. But anyway, I will be bringing some fantastic guests to join me for me to interview them, to learn from them about their lived experience and what that does. What does it mean to them? Like, to generally, what does lived experience mean? And why does it matter? I feel in community leadership, where many of us are working people who started off at the grassroots level, probably a lot more clued up and in tune with some of the communities we try to engage and we successfully engage. Lived experience might be hugely invaluable, but everybody's lived experience is going to be different. And I think, particularly in the Black and Asian minority background leaders who work in those environments where most of I can't speak for, I mean, obviously, when you relate to the rest of the world, we're the global majority, but in the UK, we're not. And so most of the health inequalities impact those communities. So it's very important that we're able to reach those communities and engage well. It makes it so much more harder to do so if you actually don't have the cultural competence to be able to understand those communities, but also for those communities to feel comfortable and safe to approach you and to engage with you. So my guests are going to be, next Saturday, I will have Salma Shah, who has a background in HR and she's a Muslim, so she's fasting, and I'd really love to hear from her lived experience and her experiences of Ramadan and how why that matters. And then the following week, I have Hamza Abdulwahi as my guest. Hamza has an amazing backstory, and I have interviewed him before. If you go on my YouTube channel, you'll find a previous interview with Hamza. He's just recently made a huge, big leap in his journey and left the work employment world to fully continue his entrepreneurship, his self employment, and I will be really keen to hear what the next step of his journey is going to be like. And if you'd like to join me, then look out because I will be setting them up in advance and you'll be able to catch it on LinkedIn and my YouTube channel. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you do so, I'll put the link on my LinkedIn uh, comments of this post, and also just generally in the weeks to come you'll be able to find my YouTube channel, because then if you're a subscriber you won't miss any of those conversations. And my third and final guest is going to be, well, I never say final because there'll probably be another guest after her, but it's going to be Dipti Solanki, who has a background in psychology, mental health, and she's a specialist in grief counseling. So, really looking forward to all three of my different guests to throw the spotlight on community leadership and why lived experience matters. What does it mean to them? So, I look forward to seeing you over the next 3 Saturdays, and have a great week. And